Bible Study with Accordance, iOS 1.6. This podcast, number 85, is at the basic level. It requires no knowledge of Accordance Bible software, or Hebrew, or Greek. It's been just a little over 2 years since we first released Accordance for the iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch. When we first designed our iOS app, we thought of it as just an additional benefit for our desktop users. They'd also be able to read their books on their iDevices. 2 years and a whole host of improvements later, we found ourselves in a rather surprising position. More people are now using Accordance on their mobile devices than on their computers. We're delighted. Today I'm pleased to announce version 1.6. It brings users a cleaner look and a number of new features. Let's take a look at them. Improved user interface. The most obvious change in 1.6 is the new user interface. We worked hard to make it cleaner, easier to use, and more intuitive. Here's a single pane in both reading and navigation mode. To switch between them, just tap the screen. Prefer dual panes? Here they are, reading mode and navigation mode. Let's take a closer look at navigation mode. We've tweaked the controls and placed each icon within easy reach. Go to a verse, switch your text or tool, use navigation arrows to jump to the next or previous hit, chapter, or article. Open the library. Search for a word, phrase, or verse. Switch to night mode, change font size on the fly, or access display settings. And finally, open or close the second pane. The larger screen of the iPad allows us to move the library to the upper toolbar, which is the only real difference in icon layout on this larger device. In this screenshot, we can also see the back button, available on all devices, which returns us to the previous page. We added it because some users found the two-finger side swipe just a little too awkward for their regular use. The Instant Details font has always seemed a bit small to me, and I'd like it larger. Now version 1.6 lets us set the size of the Instant Details font separately. All we have to do is tap the library icon, then the settings icon. You'll notice that there are two new kinds of display settings here, User Notes and Instant Details. We'll just adjust the latter. There, that should make the text more legible. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, that is definitely better. While we're looking at the display, check out the latest night mode. It really looks sharp. Using the same dialog box, we can also now change the size of the display font on the fly, or easily change the default display settings for this specific text. Changing the universal text and tool display settings is still done through the library settings, though, as we just saw. Flex Search and Auto Words versus Switching. Version 1.6 also incorporates two new features that first appeared in the desktop version of Accordance 10. Flex Search and Auto Words versus Switching. If you use our desktop program, you're probably already familiar with them. But if you don't, here's a quick explanation. Flex Search allows us to search for all the forms of a word at once, every number of a noun, every tense of a verb. If I entered the verb be under the old method, I would find only the word be, just as I did in this search. However, if I turn on Flex Search like this, I can find all the forms of the verb at once: be, was, is, will, and so on. Flex Search has proven to be so popular we've made it the default, but we can change that default in Library Settings, as I did before recording this demo. Either way, the setting can be switched for a single search using the search options under More. How about Auto Words versus Switching? The name says it all. Accordance now automatically switches between verse searches and word searches based on what we type into the search box. Type Isaiah in verse mode, and Accordance finds the book of Isaiah. Do the same search in word search mode, Accordance finds all the places the prophet's name is mentioned. But watch what happens now when we type a verse reference in word search mode. Say 1 John. Accordance is now smart enough to know we really want a verse reference. The same is true if we switch to verse mode and type in a word. Accordance knows there is no book named Glory, so it performs a word search. What could be easier? Syncing Accordance on iDevices. Many of our users have both iPhones and iPads or iPod Touches. Version 1.6 adds the ability to sync a number of different things between these devices. Bookmarks, the current reading place and the last module we've read, even our user notes, tools, and highlights. The first of these is Bookmarks, one of the most frequent feature requests we've received. We can now permanently bookmark a Bible verse or a paragraph in a tool. Just tap the verse reference in a Bible, for instance, and choose Bookmark. The library now features a new category, My Bookmarks, which sorts all of our bookmarks. We can then use this bookmark on our current device or on any other iDevice with which we've synced. The second feature is Remember My Place, an automatic bookmark. It remembers our current location in whatever resource we have open, though it only works when it's in reading mode. How do we use it? Here, I'm reading an article on Aaron in the Zondervan Encyclopedia of the Bible. Now, I'll put Accordance into the background by returning to my home screen. That tells Accordance to remember my place. Now, I'll open Accordance on my iPad. It syncs when it opens. And when I open the Zondervan Encyclopedia of the Bible, notice that Accordance jumps directly to the article I was reading. That's Remember My Place. Both kinds of bookmarks must be enabled on all our iDevices before they will sync with each other. This must be done in each device's Settings panel, the app that looks like a set of gears. We launch it, then scroll all the way down until we see Accordance. Select it, and then make sure both Remember My Place and Bookmarks are turned on. Remember, we have to do this on each of the iDevices we want to sync. Syncing user content is the last feature we'll cover in this podcast. We know that there are many of you who just use Accordance on your mobile devices. Perhaps you haven't gotten around to purchasing it on your Mac yet, or you're one of many awaiting our Windows release. Either way, there's now a way you can sync your user notes, user tools, and highlights between your iDevices without using a computer. User content can now be synced using your Dropbox account. The feature is in the Library Settings. Click on it, and you'll be asked to save an Accordance folder in your Dropbox. If you don't have an account, the app and regular account are both free. You'll need to set one up first. Note that this feature is only intended for those without Accordance on a computer. If you have Accordance on a computer, we recommend you sync user content through the computer. We do not recommend you try to use both methods at the same time. Students are writing papers and pastors are preparing sermons with Accordance right on their iPads. Even more people seem to be using the app on their iPhones for Bible, devotional, and other sorts of reading. If you're using Accordance Mobile, let me encourage you to rate this latest version of our app on the App Store. It's a real encouragement to our developers, and it lets others know just how useful Accordance is. This has been Dr. J for Accordance Bible Software. Thank you for watching this episode of Lighting the Lamp.